Good morning, sports fans. We've got a special treat for you here this morning in the Sports Corner. It is hard to believe, but this upcoming year, it will be the 30th anniversary of one of the most iconic films of all time, The Sandlot. And joining us here on the Sports Corner is the writer, the director, the narrator, the creator of that special film, David Mickey Evans. David, thank you for coming on. How's it going? How are you?
Wow, I'm doing great and better now that I'm on your show. Thank you very much for having me. That's awesome.
It's so wonderful to be able to speak with you, man. Obviously, one of my favorite movies of all time. Chris feels the same way. You know, I really feel like it's a special film that every summer kind of gets highlighted again and lives in a special place in all of our hearts.
Well, I appreciate it. It never ceases to amaze me the effect, positive, obviously, effect that Sandlot has on people, audience members, people that love it, fans, whatnot. But it constantly goes into a new generation. I think it's in its third generation now, if you do the math. And just the other day, I don't know if you guys saw that, I think these young guys that were like 9, 10, 11 years old saved their dad.
Yeah, Alabama.
Yeah, gave him CPR and whatnot. And the reporters said, well, you guys are all certified CPR. Because, no, dude, we watched The Sandlot.
Yeah, I mean, two 10-year-old twins to save their dad in Alabama. Yes. Incredible.
Unbelievable. I mean, there is no CPR in The Sandlot, so I'm not sure I should take any credit there.
Well, David, it's like, and thinking about this interview with you, I mean, so many emotions running through my mind because it'll be 3 years ago this August that I lost my mom, and she took me to see that movie in the theaters. And I know that your mom was so pivotal in your life, and I think the fans at home obviously know your name from this particular movie, but you've done so many great films and so many things. And one of those other projects is Radio Flyer, which is pretty much autobiographical of your life. And I was hoping that you could speak a little bit about the presence of your mom in your life.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. Condolences about your mom. My mom passed about 2 years ago. Yeah, that was the worst. Not a whole lot of fun there, but she was a great lady. Love her, talk to her every day still. Sure you do too. And yeah, it was rough growing up, and my mom was the constant, she was the only adult constant of positivity in our lives, me and my little brother, my little sister as well. And I started writing when I was pretty young, little stories, little this, little that, little piece of paper and a Ticonderoga. And she always, always, always encouraged me. I mean, I cannot think of a single moment where she said, put that down, take the trash out or whatever. She would always encourage me, always tell me, of course, she was my mom. Oh, she'd read my little story, whatever. And it's the best thing since Hemingway, that kind of thing. And that was my relationship with my mom her entire life. And I thought she was going to get mad at me because I wrote Radio Flyer as a book. It was a novella first. It was actually called Robert Radio Flyer, The King of Pacoima, which got shortened to The King of Pacoima. And I showed her the first rough draft of that, and I thought she was going to kill me. And no, she didn't. She cried a lot, and she says, "Yeah, you gotta get this published. It's important and all that." But you have to understand that the movie and even the book that's the light version. I mean, it was pretty bad. Growing up. But amongst all of that, my mom was our constant cheerleader. You want to go fishing? She'd figure out some way for us to go fishing, even if it was at the local county reservoir or anything. But she always, always found a way. And I think that's my favorite thing that I get from her is that don't tell me why I can't, tell me how I can. That kind of thing. So, yeah, I miss her.
Absolutely. Same here. I mean, I remember being a kid and I lost my dad when I was 6 years old, and my mom would encourage that creativity. She would encourage that writing and say all the time, whether it was poetry or things like that. So to be able to continue to do this today means a lot to me, to be able to have conversations with people like yourself and to encourage pretty much, spoken word. And like I said, it was a special time to be able to see that movie in the theaters. And I think about that project for you and how it's, to this day, still everlasting, like you mentioned with the boys saving their dad, but also just how iconic the film has become in so many different ways. I know in other interviews, you've even said that major league players have come up to you and said to you that you are the reason why they play professional baseball.
Yeah, that gets. I mean, is there any more flattering thing to hear? I don't think so. But it's always weird, and it's happened a number of times. Let's say more than 20. And I think the best one, I think it was Clayton Kershaw. It was in 2018, and what were they? They were headed to another, October, but what was it? 2 in a row, three in a row that they blew. And Clayton's a tall guy. I mean, I'm 6 feet tall, but I had to look up at him. I had no idea he was that big a human. And he's got hands that they're like bunches of bananas. They're so big, and his strength, and you probably have, but for your viewers, if you've never shaken the hand of a professional baseball player, you don't know what a grip is. These guys are amazing. So he shook my hand and he says, that movie, that's when I played baseball, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And remember, now they're going into the next thing. And I said, that's cool, man. Just win. And he did.
David, I wanted to talk, obviously, with the 30th anniversary coming up this upcoming year. I mean, to me, The Sandlot is basically the story that you wanted your childhood to be. Talk a little bit about the inspiration, because the inspiration for The Sandlot, it actually dawned on you from what I've read, what I've heard. It came to you sitting in traffic in LA.
Oh, yeah. If there's one thing I hate more than anything in the world, it's LA traffic. But I do owe it a small morsel of gratitude. And during Radio Flyer, like you mentioned, I directed that picture for 8 days. I had 8 days in the chair, contractually guaranteed. And then on the 8th day, they booted me. So I got a ride home. And I was, the same day or the next day, I was on the 405 freeway driving. I think I had to go about 18 miles and it took 3 hours, something like that. Welcome to LA. And I think I was 28, 29 years old. And I don't know, your mind wanders when you're doing 2 miles an hour, And that whole incident occurred to me, and I said, man, that'd be a good idea for a movie. My career was extremely tenuous at that time, because that whole Radio Flyer thing is sort of known as the greatest baptism by fire in Hollywood history. And I was young and knew a little. I was street smart, but not enough to go toe to toe with these professionals. And my career was essentially over. So I needed something that was a movie or a story that had very few locations. So it could be very contained. I could shoot baseball and then go outside the fence and shoot bicycles, whatever, just very contained, therefore less expensive to make, therefore takes less time. Therefore, they might give this guy who was fired off Radio Flyer another chance. And when Richard Donner took over Radio Flyer, we were shoot up in Northern California. He took me aside. And we walked down these neighborhood streets and stuff. And God rest his soul, Dick Donner was a great, great guy. And I could not have asked for a better mentor. And he says to me, I think he was 58 at the time, which is like kind of like what I am. And he said, kid, you got something. He goes, but everybody in Hollywood gets a second chance. He goes, remember that. He goes, but remember the really important part. Nobody gets a third. I said, okay, all right. So finish the picture, flash forward. I'm in traffic, and nobody in Hollywood would give me a directing gig. They thought I was a terrific writer, but they didn't. No, I can't direct. And so I thought that thing occurred to me. These bullies, kids, baseball, a summer, except for the Bad News Bears. I had never remembered seeing a movie that sort of was about the San Fernando Valley in Southern California. And all that came together, and I got home, and it took me, I don't know, a month, 6 weeks to get it all out. And I got offered in just obscene amounts of money for that script. And I turned it all down because I wanted to direct it. It was my second chance, therefore my last chance. And so everything seems to have worked out. But without that Radio Flyer debacle and all of that, all those politics, if you will, I don't know what would have happened.
That was part one of our interview with the creator of The Sandlot, David Mickey Evans. Tune in next time for part two.